Okay. All right, everybody, we're live and welcome to PoliTarology on this beautiful June evening. I am so happy this evening to have my guests Susan Lynn and Cleo the Seer. And I'm going to let both of them say hello to you, and then I'm going to cut them off. No, then I'm going to then we're going to start doing questions from the chat. And if there are not enough questions in the chat, I have plenty of questions myself to ask.
Oh yeah, we have our own questions. I mean,
Oh
we
yeah.
don't need any help.
Yeah, I'm armed to the teeth tonight. So, Susan, hello. What's going on? Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. So yes, we are going to get deep into the politics tonight. It's a lot going on. A lot going on. The second Trump indictment. So I know you guys have questions. Like Colleen said, we have questions. So we'll just dive right in and see where we end up.
Yes, we will. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here. Hi, everyone. I would go through all your names, but I find that terribly annoying when people do that. So I'm just going to say hello, everybody. And Cleo, please tell us what's going on for you. Hello.
Well, I've just been getting an awful lot of information about the indictments, and I'm just super excited about it. Plus all the stuff I've been seeing on YouTube, like with Susan, who has continually kept our hopes alive, and then it happens, and we're just like, oh God, great. So yeah, I mean, there's, I'm into the political arena tonight. This is what I'm interested in.
Yes, okay. Yes, indeed. All right. Well, shall we? My burning question. I mean, I know there's a lot to talk about the indictment and all that stuff, but did you hear that the judge who is in charge of the arraignment is Eileen Cannon? Eileen Cannon, yeah, right. That was my reaction too. Eileen Cannon is that judge who kept giving Trump, all the little passes before when it started out on the documents case. And so people were a little alarmed. However, Joyce Vance, one of my heroes, tells us that the arraignment judge is not and probably won't be the hearing judge, but there is a chance she could be. So that's the first thing I want to read on. Will she actually be the hearing judge? Because that's terrible. And okay, we'll just start with that, and then we'll go from there.
Really, I don't know anything about what you're talking. I mean, I generally know about the judge, and that she favors Trump.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's still got to go by the law, and I just think that Jack Smith has all his ducks in a row, knows exactly how to present this, and even though Trump has done the same thing with Jack Smith that he did with Bragg, of just name calling and criticizing and acting like they don't know what they're doing, and
such mature behavior.
It's totally just typical Trump.
Yeah. I don't think Eileen Cannon's going to be the final judge. If I had to ask the guides, I would say, like, who is the judge that's going to preside over the majority of this court case, the final selected judge for this court case? I don't feel like she's going to be that final judge. What did you get there, Colleen?
Yeah, no, they're going to put their heads together and pick, some white-haired man to be the judge. And
I think it's going to be a man. I'd be surprised if it's a female, but it feels like a male, and it feels like somebody who just doesn't have patience. You know what I mean? Like crotchety, like you were talking about, some old crotchety man. It's going to be like, I don't have patience for this. Sonny, sit down. Next,
tremendous experience, a large, vast portfolio in many, many different areas of law. The one thing they were talking about is they're worried because Florida doesn't get a lot of cases pertaining to very, very high security documents. But, the judges have to bone up on it. That's all. They just have to
figure it out.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Jack Smith will help them figure it out.
Yeah. And I think DOJ would complain if Eileen Cannon got to be picked as the judge. So
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Jack Smith, the indictments are all about the documentation that Trump stole and brought to Mar-a-Lago. So, but he's also on the January 6th thing, right? So, is that going to be another set of indictments? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what I said. And I just want to point out that Kevin Lewis and Kevin's Loving Vibrations are both readers, and they're in the chat, and they're saying they both agree with us. They're picking up the same thing. And that's why we said before we went live, like, we don't have a confetti cannon to shoot off. And the reason I don't is because I don't want to shoot 5 more of these things off. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he's going to have indictment after indictment after indictment. I think I'm just going to switch to champagne. And I'm just going to crack a bottle of champagne for every indictment, because it's not as messy.
Well, I think champagne for most, but when it's Jack's cases, I think we have to drink Jack. So come on.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Come on.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
That's up in the ante quite a bit there.
Well, you gotta,
do what you gotta do.
He has a lot of gravitas, so you gotta go with that.
You gotta go with it.
So my next thing that I'm burning to find out is, okay, so we know that little Eileen is going to be, allowed to do the arraignment, and that's about it. When is this going to come to trial? How soon? Or how long?
I don't know, but a lot's happening next week, next Tuesday. So,
well, that's when he's going to be brought in. That's when that's
the arraignment
indictment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't like Eileen Cannon. She does feel like a block or a plug in the energy. She doesn't feel helpful to the energy, but I also feel like she can't really do that. I kind of feel like if she tries to do something out of the ordinary, that it's just going to be bounced over her. I don't think the energy suggests nobody's playing here. We're not just going to put up with the shenanigans that we put up with 3 years ago. This is different energy. I just feel like this is going to happen pretty quickly.
Is the arraignment judge the one that sets the date for the actual trial?
I think so.
It might be.
That's a problem, because that woman may put it way out there.
But I don't think she will. See, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There seems to be some pressure on her. Either they somehow can skip over her, or there's some pressure. She just doesn't have the power that she thinks she does. That's what I'm getting from this.
Well, Jack Smith wants to hurry it up. He wants to hurry up and do it now.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing with Eileen Cannon, though, too. She got her hand slapped for the things that she did before.
Yes, that's right.
So she's on a short leash, and she may even be on some sort of almost judicial probation for sitting on the bench and maybe her law license, because they were pretty angry with what she did before. So I don't think that she can go out of line too much. But I pulled a few cards, and the first card I got was the 10 of Pentacles, which is the legacy card. She is thinking about her legacy. She is a young judge. I mean, that picture may be 10 years old, but even if it is, she's not old and gray and white haired. So she is thinking about her legacy. She doesn't want to get thrown off the bench. And I got a bad card for her. I got 7 of Pentacles. So even if she does mind her P's and Q's, they're still going to criticize it. They are not loving her. She's not getting a lot of love there. So she might feel that she has to do something to sort of prove that she's not just in Trump's pocket. Because after all, what can Trump do to her at this point that hasn't already been done?
And he's poison at this point. I think everybody really is trying to kind of get some distance. Fredo said, won't she have to recuse herself? There are pictures of her now all over the internet at Trump rallies, etc. That would be interesting. What do we feel? Do we feel she may step aside and say, I'm gonna that would hurt Trump. That would hurt his baby feelings.
And it would really help her in the eyes of the judiciary if she did that.
I mean, why die on that hill? He's not. Everybody that's in law knows this is over for him. He's never going to have a position of power again. So it's not worth prostrating yourself for him, he's not going to help you.
Yes,
Well,
but
I
then
mean,
you
you
have
think
to
about
ask yourself, is she that smart to figure
Well, you
that
do.
out?
You do.
I don't know.
well, already, you know, today the two of his attorneys have quit.
That's right.
So
Oh, I missed
Two of his attorneys have already quit. I think before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, it was like,
yeah.
that was
I
before
don't
day
mute
drinking
myself.
time. You know, that was, they quit at breakfast. That's bad.
Well, which makes me think any judge like this woman you're talking about, she could recuse herself. I don't know that that's going to happen,
I
but
just don't know if she's smart enough. That I agree with Colleen.
I don't.
She's not exactly the smartest bulb in the pack
She's
there.
too obvious. She's too obvious. And that's the problem with cults, is that when the people come out with things, you know, they've lost all reason. If the great white leader doesn't tell them what to say, they don't know what to say.
They don't know what to
use
do.
their heads. They don't have judgment. And you know what? She might recuse herself.
Nice. Well, that's what Freda's saying, and that's what some of the other people are saying.
Well, it is a choice. I mean, any judge can recuse from.
Oh, I
any
would love that.
case, but it's really on the fence. And again, just don't know if she's going to be smart enough to make that choice.
But is there some replacement that would be a Trump in favor of Trump also?
I don't see a replacement going in their favor. Again, this guy is radioactive, and even if you're a big old dummy, you can see that. You know, yeah.
But do we see the actual trial happening, say, within 4 months? Because they got to give them a few months to get ready, but 4 months would put it right at the fall. So
actually, I don't see a trial.
Oh.
No.
What do you see?
I see that they're going to try to make a deal of some kind, because they know that if they go to trial, they're going to lose. So I think they're going to be negotiating and trying to come up with something. And I don't think that we're going to hear the exact details of that. But a trial, no. It's just
this is just the first one. Do you see subsequent trials?
No, I see subsequent indictments, but trials like January 6th thing now, and the documents January 6th, and then the stuff in Georgia, that's going to be a little bit different. But I don't know. Maybe one or the other, but to have a trial on this, these people, Jack Smith, who has, you know, all these attorneys, these prosecutors have put together, they've got all their ducks in a row. I mean, there's no little tricky thing that Trump's attorneys are going to be able to pull out of the hat. As a matter of fact, if you saw Trump's attorney this morning on the Today Show, he doesn't give a what's it called? He doesn't have any reasoning to say that Trump's not guilty.
Right.
He doesn't come up with any evidence. He doesn't come up even with an argument. And what he talked about was what happened in the 70s with Nixon, and that prior to that, that it was okay for the presidents to take all the documents they wanted, or blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
and I'm banking on something like that. I'm thinking, well, what does that have to do with now?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have anything to do with now. I think because he's a former president, that they are going to spend a lot of time negotiating, trying to get out of not actually having a trial. If they do have a trial, it'll probably be closed off to the public.
Yes,
it's going
to be closed off to the public. It absolutely is, because this is a threat. This knowledge, the publicity of it would be used against the American people. It would be used to gin up violence and threats. I feel like it would be very much a closed door, behind the door kind of trial. I do feel like it's going to go to trial, but I don't think it's going to be
okay, the only way it goes to trial is if they offer Trump something and Trump is stupid enough
to take it.
And he's not going to take
it. Okay. Really?
If he doesn't take it, oh God, he's so screwed. If he doesn't take it, they will go to trial and they will win. But they're going to try to hand him something because it looks so bad for the country to have a former president being, these are felony charges. These are a big deal. So, okay. So, if he takes the deal, which he's not going to take it because the deal is going to be, we're going to let a lot of stuff go if you just don't run for president. That's all
right. I want to jump in here. So two things. One is they can't actually let the jury pool know what's in the documents that he kept. And a lot of people, for a lot of people who don't understand the law and are sitting on the jury, that's going to be the first thing they want to know. That's going to be like why they want to even sit as the jury so that they can find out what's, in these documents. And they're not going to find out because the issue is not what were the documents, were they confidential or top secret, or that's irrelevant. The point is that he possessed them and would not give them back when he was compelled by the DOJ or whoever it was over and over and over again. The other thing is
it threatened the safety and the welfare of the United States of America. So they know that much.
Yeah, and they'll know that much, but they're never going to find out what are in the documents. So that part of it doesn't have to be closed off from the public. The protection of Trump might be the reason that they have to close it off from the public because they don't want to cause another January 6th style riot. But if his lawyers are talking like that on television, they've already given up.
Yes.
So that might.
They've already quit. Two of them have already quit.
So if they've already given up, then Trump might be begging for a deal. They might be begging for,
they are, but Trump isn't. I just can't see Trump. He's never done anything, he's never agreed or said yes. Well, the one time I think he admitted to something, he said, "So what? Yeah, I did it." I mean, here's the other thing. I gotta say this. This is a hill I will die on, for real. I mean, I very rarely say these things. But Trump cannot just be slapped on the hand and said, you can't run for president. You got to be a good boy. That is not going to fly. This man is actively day in, day out, whenever he's awake and breathing and he's not stuffing a Big Mac in his mouth, he is harming our democracy. So in my opinion, he's got to be contained. And in that way, he's going to have to be in some sort of Gitmo level security place with no windows, no access to visitors, no access to his family. I mean, truly, locked down because you cannot trust him. You literally cannot trust this man or his family. So that's what I see. Two options. And the guides have never wavered from this. For 3 years, they've never wavered for this. He's either going to be in that situation or he's going to be 6 feet under. Mm-hmm. Even if he flees, he's still going to get drugged back here. And we have to contain him. So he doesn't have a lot of options here to say, I want to do a plea deal. Because he is literally not right in his mind. And he really does think. I think he believes his own lies, so he's not going to be a good person to negotiate with.
Now, I think that Jack Smith is already 8 chess moves ahead of this. Yeah. And I think that he and the DOJ have already started planning the location and the exterior and interior design of this Gitmo-like little hospital. Now, one way that he might end up there without making a plea deal is, what if he just blows a gasket? What if he, loses his mind? What if he pops a blood vessel? What if he, something that renders him, just an idiot and he can't make any more decisions? And they're just like, I don't care if he is an idiot, we're locking him up. I could see that happening, and I could see him dwindling away in that location until he finally just, because he will.
I can see his daughter committing him, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, she could help this situation by committing him.
She could, and we know her heart is in that direction.
Yeah, we know that. She would throw him under the bus, over the whatever. Yeah.
Oh boy, so that kind of took the air out of the balloon to just think there's no trial at all. Now we don't have anything to read on.
Sorry.
Well, I think there will be. I really do think there will be trials because it's more than just Trump. It's Walt Nalta. It's all these. It's Meadows.
That's true.
Meadows only got partial immunity. He didn't get 100% immunity, so he's going to trial. And I think Jack Smith is not going to be denied a trial. I think he's going to, he wants a trial, and by God, he's going to get one, because I think also for Jack Smith and Garland, they have to prove for their own, historical, for their own professional, opinions or a reputation, that they did it by the book. Every T was crossed, every I was dotted. They want these trials because they want history to look back, and they want law professors to look back and say, wow, this was good scholarly legal work. So I don't know. It's I guess it's going to be quite interesting.
No, I think that they will offer it to him. Now, I'm not saying, we don't think he would take it, but I do think it will be offered. But I totally agree that, yes, this will be a textbook legal case. It'll be written up for years about how this went down. But both of you have said before that they're going to lock him up in a little, his own little sanatorium, whatever it's called.
Bunny slippers with the presidential seal on them. That's what he's going to be wearing.
Exactly. I saw the same thing.
Okay. All right.
But now, if we tie in all the other people, he is like the girl holding the golden goose. Everybody that touches it can't let go, and he is just dragging all these people off to whatever. Now, are all those trials going to take place in Florida?
I don't think so. I got no. Not all of them. Some of them are going to be in DC.
Yeah.
And some of them are going to be in Atlanta.
Yeah. Don't you think that Mark Meadows is going to have a triple header because he's so involved with everything? He's going to have a Florida, he's going to have a Southern District of New York, and he's going to have
one in trifecta.
Yeah, trifecta. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I've seen all along, a trifecta between Washington, D.C., Atlanta. And Florida and New York.
Now, do we think there's any other people that might have a trifecta? I don't know, the former mayor of New York?
So specifically Florida, Florida, Atlanta, and DC.
Or I was thinking Southern District.
I can see Giuliani. Yes, I can see Giuliani getting rung up in all three locations. Buy one, get two free.
I can see him texting Mark Meadows and asking for airfare so he can get to court because he doesn't have enough money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. What about all that money he sold those pardons for? Well, he probably blew that on. We don't want to know what.
You don't want to know what.
We don't want to know what.
So I keep shuffling my cards on what we're talking about. And then by the time I've shuffled them, we're on to talking something else.
That's what happens when we get together.
I know, it just goes fast and furious. It just goes very furious. So
yes, you're right. There is so many people in line, so many people getting in trouble, so many people they're just backing away and they're being very quiet, silent, because they don't want to get drug into this any more than they already have.
Yes.
And that's not going to work either.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
Paying attention.
This is only his second indictment and only his first federal indictment. Yeah. There is many more to come. Yeah. So that's going to add to the idea of him blowing a gasket.
How many more are going to come?
How many more? Well, there's on the books. There's a website that keeps track of all of the cases against Trump. And the last time I looked at it, there were 23 cases that could come to some sort of indictment this year. And so we had E. Jean Carroll, and we have one for Jack Smith. He's got a second one with Jack Smith. Or is there a third? I think there's a third.
I think there's a third. I think there's 3 with Jack Smith.
Yeah. And
then Fonnie Willis.
Yeah. What's going on with her?
A cavalcade of indictments, I think.
She's going to be the knockout punch, if you ask me. And I don't know why they say that. I don't understand law enough to understand that, how she could be the knockout punch, but she's going to have the RICO charges. So whereas Jack Smith might get this bunch and this bunch, Fonnie's going to connect them all together and she's going to get them all. That's for sure. Fonnie is going to get some of those Congress people, whoever. Well, what they're saying right now to me is, so some of those people are going to get rung up from Jan 6, right? So Jack Smith is also going to be going after Trump for Jan 6. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, some of the, and Meadows is going to play a big role in that. And Meadows is going to play a big role in these other senators and Congress people getting indicted. Mm-hmm. So that's the beginning. And then really Fannie just, I don't know. To me, she just takes everybody out.
Don't you think that Meadows, when he was talked to by Jack Smith, that's when Jack Smith finally decided whatever information he got from Meadows, tilt the whole thing to say, okay, now we're going to do the indictments?
Yeah. I mean, that was the Kingpin, the guides, you know, they woke me up this morning telling me Meadows was the Kingpin. And I always thought Kingpin, like the mafia Don, like the head, but actually Kingpin means the Kingpin, the number 1 pin on a bowling alley. When you hit that first Kingpin, it knocks all the other ones down.
Yes.
So they were actually using that definition. So Meadows is the Kingpin. He's the one that's going to bring everybody down.
Yeah.
Perfect. And think about how hard they were on him, that even though he is their star witness and probably without him, this whole thing would be an uphill battle. And he still only got partial immunity.
Oh yeah. He's still in trouble. He
didn't get 100% immunity. And wow. I mean, that's some hard level, scrap.
Well, that just tells you how much trouble he was going to be in if he didn't say something. So he's trying to save himself, but I don't know that he's going to be able to save everything. He's in big trouble.
He's in big trouble. And it also means that Jack Smith didn't blink. He's like, I'm willing to lose this case. I'm not giving you 100% immunity.
Well, and he set it up for himself. He allowed his aide, Cassidy Hutchinson, goddess of the Justice Department, he allowed her to come up and tell the truth. And he didn't immediately jump in and say, yes, me too. I was there too. He waited. You remember there was radio silence on Mark Meadows. Weren't you wondering? I was wondering for like 6 months. I'm like, well, what the hell happened?
We totally were wondering. Where did he go? What is he doing? Is he alive?
What's wrong with that guy? Yeah, I totally expected him to come into the Jan 6 committee and testify, and he didn't. And I was like, oh man, he screwed the pooch there. That was really stupid, because now he is going to do jail time. I mean, it might be in a federal penitentiary, but still, he's going to do jail time.
I think he might get out in 5 years.
He might. He did get a deal. He did get something, but he's still gonna he's never going to be able to do what his career's over.
Well, he pled. Are we still talking about Meadows?
Yeah.
Yeah, he pled guilty. He's guilty of something. So yes, he's going to do time. But could it be 5 years versus could it have been 15 or 20 years?
Oh yeah. He might get 15 and get out in 5 with good behavior. I don't think 5 is his. I don't think that's what he gets put in. I think he gets out in 5.
Yeah.
Via whatever that happens, right?
Well, I think his testimony reduced the amount of time he would spend in prison.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Yeah. They gave him partial immunity. So some of these things he's not even going to get charged for. So he can say, I was right there shoulder to shoulder with Trump. I heard this myself, but he's not going to get rung up for that crime.
Right. So, he actually has to, he has to admit to every crime.
Yes.
And they will, you know, take down names and numbers and check it all out and verify it. And if he's found to be lying about anything, his immunity deal is out the window. That's the way the feds work.
Well, did he already lie about the documents? Did he already say with the attorneys that the documents had been turned over?
We don't know, but we do know that initially for the Jan 6 committee, he gave over text messages and emails and all sorts of documentation, and then he refused to come and testify. And that's when everybody was like, why is he doing that? Probably a trip to Mar-a-Lago would have explained that, but, you know, who knows? I hear it's very nice in February. Very nice. So, I don't know. But, okay, so what else? What do we want to read on now?
You guys have any questions? Shoot.
I bet they do. I've just been ignoring the chat. I'm so sorry, everybody. Oh, let's see what we got.
There's just too much happening.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's a big day. It's a big day. All right. I'm going to go back up to the top. We may have already covered a lot of this, but I just want to see if there's questions here. All right. So Destiny wants to know, is there any chance that we're going to see the Trump children or Melania in prison? Maybe visiting someone.
Yeah, maybe that'd be about it for Melania anyway.
And they would never visit anybody. They would never visit anybody. They wouldn't even put a saw in a cake for somebody.
Oh God.
I'm seeing the younger one. I'm seeing
Tiffany.
Oh no, the boy.
Eric.
I'm seeing Eric. And I've often thought that Eric is like the guy that's holding the bag and going, where'd everybody go? I was supposed to meet you right here. You know what I mean? Like, God bless him. I kind of feel like they're just going to set him up, you know? But I also have seen the boys, both boys, and this is never changed. At some point, I see them in some Tajikistan, one of those Stan countries where they're starting over, you know. They can't do anything here in the States. And they're literally taking their shekels and going over there to try to recreate their, you know, their business.
Well, I know that they have continually brought Eric in for depositions and questioning and over again. And I was really surprised at that, because you didn't really hear that much about Eric, because he just seemed like such a
paste eater.
Apologies to any paste eaters out there.
that he did.
Yeah,
he didn't seem to be all involved as much as, say, Don Jr. But now I'm seeing that no, he was actually.
He was very involved, and very involved in a very unaware way. You know what I mean? Like, just sign here. Just take care of this for us, Eric. Thank you, Cha-Cha.
And his wife. Don't forget his wife.
And his wife, right?
Yes.
Well, the kid,
I think Eric is in danger of going to prison, and I know Don Jr. is. Eric, it's up in the air.
Do you think Don Jr., they would maybe bust him on drug charges?
I've heard that he's got a little thing going on with drugs. So
yeah he does.
That's a possibility.
You know, that would be an easy get. Yeah, that would be an easy get. And once they cleaned him up, he might turn. But they haven't done that yet. So I guess they're not going to play that card.
Well, you know what? The way I see it is Trump is like radioactive. And you've got to put the radioactive thing in the cooling tank and get it confined. And then when you do that, then you can think about what else do we need to do here, right? You know, when your house is on fire, you put your house out. You don't go looking to see if you left your bicycle in the garage, right? So, you know, I think that they're very serious about getting Trump contained. And then once that happens, they may, because of the same things we talked about earlier, that Trump can instill a lot of infighting or violence in the United States. So they may let those boys, that might be one of those plea deals where, okay, pick up your game pieces, leave the United States, and we'll just look the other way. I really think they may get away with something. They shouldn't. And for sure, Jared should not. I think Jared, do you think Jared might do, every time I try to see if Jared's going to go to prison, I see him abscond to, Israel or Saudi Arabia.
They'll somehow bring him back if he does. I think he's going to go to prison. I think it's what is it the Greeks call it when you inherit the sins of the father?
Yeah, because his dad was in prison.
His hubris. It's his hubris to go to prison, and that way Ivanka is free to take her children, make her deals, and leave and marry somebody else. I've always seen that for that little crew. Yeah. But I think that you might be right. I might be wrong. You might be right about the boys. I see I got the Ten of Swords, Three of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles. So I'm thinking, and my Ten of Swords, I love this Ten of Swords in this deck. So this is what happens initially. Right?
Okay. Yeah, that's painful. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't need to see that anymore.
Big time acupuncture. Big time acupuncture there. I think they both are. Yeah, right. I think they both are just completely taken by surprise when they are captured, arrested, indicted, pick your thing. And then I think they start dealing. Well, what do you want to know? What do you want to hear? Because this would also help the Trump cases in New York too, because Eric was doing all that. Eric was running all of the New York stuff, and right. Don Jr. was more involved in the Washington D.C. stuff. And between the two of them, they kept all the businesses going the same way Daddy wanted them to go. So they both have dirty hands. They both have hands in the cookie jar, and they both have to pay the piper, I think. So you may be right.
Do you think there's a possibility that they use the kids to get Trump to make a deal?
No, because he's a narcissist and he doesn't care about anybody but himself.
He doesn't care about his kids. If his kids end up losing their fortunes and all that,
that's their fault. That's their fault. They should have been smarter.
Not unless they're offering to Trump that he can die and come back as Ivanka's husband. That's the only way.
Oh, gross. That is so gross.
Yeah, that is gross.
I know, but have you ever watched those old films?
I can't.
With him? Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
It is really disgusting. He is a really full-blown narcissist, and he's just got to be contained. He's just got.
Well, then the kids are in trouble. I mean, because they could. Yes, I thought maybe they could use them and say, "Hey, we won't pick on Eric or Don if you do A, B, or C." But if he won't even do that, even for his family, then those kids could definitely end up in prison.
And then they're going to be pointing at each other. They're going to be pointing at Ivanka. They're going to be pointing at each other. Right. And that's a prosecutor's dream.
Yep. And that's why Fani Willis with her RICO charges is going to be so successful, because she sees it all as the big, huge spider web that it really is. She sees that the whole thing is really connected. So
I got a feeling though Ivanka is going to be able to squirm out of it
without any jail time.
Right.
Well, if she's squealed on her brothers and her father, then maybe.
Well, but she's also got her husband to be concerned about. So I mean, her thing right now is those kids. So she's going to do whatever it takes to make sure she can raise her children, whether her husband's in prison or her brothers are in prison. She's out for herself right now.
Kevin has a good idea. This makes sense to me. House arrest for Ivanka, Kevin's loving vibration. I did see her restrained in some way. I really honestly do see her in this kind of weird clothing that could be some kind of uniform. House arrest would make sense. That would totally make sense.
Yeah. Or they might do what happened to Michael Cohen. He did some time in prison and then
I
some time
swear.
on house arrest. Yeah.
Just now, I think she's going to do some time. It might only be 3 or 6 months, but I feel like she really might do some time.
Yeah, I think so too.
These people are not playing.
The house arrest feels right. I'm sorry. The house arrest feels for Ivanka. If it comes down to that would be the way it would go. It's because she would accept that deal if the option was, here, you're going to spend X amount of time in prison, or you can spend this amount of time under house arrest. She's going to do that.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
Oh, Kevin said he saw an ankle bracelet on her. Ha! I don't think it's going to be a designer.
I don't either. She can turn that into a fashion accessory.
Yes, I'm sure she can style that to make some money off of it. I'm looking at for questions here.
And while you're looking for questions, I just want to say briefly, the reason why that Trump cannot be in prison is because you cannot have him in a cell with another person. Yes. You guys, he is an ex-president. If somebody shanks him and kills him, you guys are not, people are failing to understand. He can be a felon and a criminal, but he's still an ex-president. He still has value. If the person that kills him says, I did so on the behalf of X country, then we got a war situation, right? We can't allow people to have that kind of access to our ex-president. Number one. Number two, he's going to be criming. He's going to get a cell phone in there. He's going to get Big Macs in there. He's going to be trying to call North Korea from up in there. I mean, we can't allow that. He cannot go to prison. It just doesn't make any sense for him to go to prison.
I totally agree. Totally.
But the commenters are mad that he's not going to prison. In my opinion, the worst thing for Trump is to be isolated, to not have anybody to talk to. And I mean, nobody. To not have a phone, to not have Twitter, to not even have a TV, or to have his TV limited to 2 hours a day. That is the worst possible punishment. And then on top of that, let's feed him some institution food, Yeah.
How about if they just played his rallies back to him on repeat and shuffle instead of live TV?
Why don't we play Obama speeches?
Because then he'd kill himself. We don't want him to do that.
Well, we would put him in a straitjacket. He would have. That's part of your. That is part of your punishment. You're going to have to. We're going to strap you in this chair, and you're going to watch.
Yeah.
I do kind of feel that the pressure on Trump right now, mentally, is getting to him. I mean,
Yes,
he keeps coming back with stuff that's not an excuse for what he's doing, as far as blaming the prosecutors that they don't know what they're doing. I'm thinking, we all know that not once has he taken responsibility for anything that he's done. And he has done so many things. It's just that finally we get to a point where they can criminally charge him. So I do think that he's going to use this right now to make it look like, well, they're doing this because they're trying to ruin my candidacy for president. And I'm thinking, no, they're not trying to ruin anything. They're trying to eliminate your candidacy for president because and on the other hand, part of the Republican Party is like, they're sticking up for him because they're thinking he is going to be president. Yeah. And the other half is like, we just got to get rid of him because whoever he goes against, he's going to lose. Nobody wants to put somebody in the seat of the president's house when they're doing illegal stuff all the time. And there's, for other Trump supporters to say, well, he's not really doing this. This is all made up. And what did Trump say? He called them the hoax boxes. Talking about the documents, the hoax boxes. Again, he's going to the same old line. The only thing is now we're talking about in court with real lawyers, with real judges.
Right.
This cannot, that is not a defense. That's not a defense for him.
Right.
So
right.
I think he is mentally, he just may not get through this. And if
He may not. I saw that. I saw him stroking out, I've seen him stroking out totally. So that's why I said earlier, he's going to get contained in a room or 6 feet under. I'm not sure which outcome is going to be the fastest. I don't know. But the other thing, let me throw this out there. You guys chew on this. Trump is dangerous, not just to Americans and democracy. He's dangerous to everybody he's got dirt on.
That's right.
And he's got a connection to Russia that Russia does not want people to know about. He's got connections to all kinds of dark money. He's could have done deals with Iran. He could have done deals with Saudi Arabia that they don't want people to know about. This guy could fall out a window. This guy could choke on a Big Mac. And it may look like an accident, like Ivana falling down some stairs when she didn't even use the stairs. She had never used the stairs anytime recently. She always used the elevator. An accident like that. So that he's no longer useful. That's one of the scenarios I saw too, is if he tries to flee. I mean, at one scenario was him going to the DOJ saying, you have to protect me. Wouldn't that be interesting? So he could have to check himself into the, padded room hotel just out of his own self,
preservation,
trying to keep himself alive.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I just want to reiterate for the people in the chat who are just incensed that we were suggesting that DOJ might offer a deal. That's not, I don't think that's what we were saying. For me, what I was suggesting is Trump's side, his whatever lawyers are left, and Trump would be begging for a deal.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm saying that yes, they could do that, but it would be in a discussion of how do we do this, because he is an ex-president.
No, I know. I agree.
This is gonna be different because he's the president, and it reflects not just on our country but across the world of how do we deal with something like this. Do we take an ex-president and just say, okay, put him in prison? No, it's just not going to happen. And everybody knows that. So what do we do? So they try to make a deal. They offer him something. However, he doesn't take it. He is he's either so off his rocker or so egotistical or so arrogant to believe all this nonsense that he spews that he just doesn't get. He just doesn't get it. He does not believe he would ever go to prison.
No,
he does not believe he's going to be found guilty of anything. He keeps saying he didn't do anything wrong.
That's true.
He does not accept responsibility.
And I don't think that Jack Smith's team is going to offer him the kind of deal in the way that you're thinking. I think they fully want to make sure that they can get him charged, and then they will. I'm sure Jack Smith was working for The Hague. He was prosecuting wartime victims or criminals from around the world. He of all people right now in this country has the best idea of how to handle this, because he's helped handle it in other parts of the world. So he's probably the most creative mind to be focusing on this. Okay, we get the indictments. It's a slam dunk because you're so good at that. We get him charged because his lawyers are so bad and weak that they just lose the case. But now what do we do with him? They've already thought that all out.
Yeah.
They've already figured that all out. And it does not involve prison. It involves this specialized place, whatever it may be, where he can go. And the thing with the kids, I bet they figured that out too already, because they are thinking way ahead. Yeah. They know these people are Tweedledum, Tweedledee, Tweedledither, Tweedledummer, Tweedleicker, I'm telling you, it's like the girl with the golden goose. They are all just connected like a cult, and they can't think for themselves. They know they're going to win this. They know it, but they're not taking anything for granted. But they've already thought about how they're going to handle it. Yeah. I mean, way more than.
Of course they have. Of course they have, but they don't, what the main thing is they don't want him to ever be president or any other political office. They do not want him in there ever again. And, all these people you were talking about, how many Republicans does Trump have in his pocket? How many Jim Jordans and Lindsey Graham and Rudy, all these different people that he's got the dirt on. That was a good point that Susan made, that he's got the dirt on all of these other guys. And so that is probably the only reason that they're acting like, oh, okay, well, they're just doing this to ruin his campaign. Well, no, I mean, Trump entered the campaign early like he did in order to use it like he's using it right now.
And that's such a low-level move. It's such an obvious move. It's such a Trump's just going to say the quiet part out loud on TV move. It's such a kindergarten move. Whereas the people who are dealing with him, the Jack Smiths and the Merrick Garlands, they are thinking so far ahead of that.
Yes.
5D, yeah, they're way, way ahead of that. And they know they have to stop him. But here's the thing. Okay, so 23 lawsuits, right? They only have to really get him on one good one to really shut him up and shut him down and to kind of stop him in his tracks. And then all these other cases are going to come behind it. So they really only need to really slam him before the 6 months before, it's really 60 days before an election. So they've got plenty of time to do that. But I don't think they're going to take their time. I think they're going to try to do this as quickly as possible. And I think it's going to be rolling cases. They're going to have one and then he'll take a breath and then one, and he's going to lose every single one to where he's going to lose the will, not only to campaign for president, but probably the will to live. I mean, this is just going to be devastating for a narcissist to keep losing. I mean, I have seen up close and personal several narcissists come to kind of like see God and realize that, the jig is up, and they crumble. They physically just kind of like turn into jelly, and they cry, they get upset, they don't know what to do, they fall on the ground, they're crawling. I mean, they really fall apart. And so I think that's one of the things I see happening for him, because he's a weak man. He's not a strong man. He's a very, very weak individual. And becoming a narcissist was his way of reacting to the world. But once he starts really losing, I mean, he did lose E. Jean Carroll, but that was not a criminal case.
Yeah.
Once he starts losing the criminal cases, he's going to be turning around.
He's going after that case. He's appealing that.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's going to lose that. The judges have to approve. No, but the judges have to approve, or it has to go to the appellate court. They have to say, yes, you can appeal it. They're not going to let them appeal it.
It's not going to. I'm telling you, it's over. The judges are not going to be allowing any appeals. They want this done. The longer it drags out, the more harm it causes our society, the more ginning up of the violence that he can do via his truth statements and all of that. What about this guy, Higgins? Did you guys see that? Is it Higgins, you guys, in the chat? This guy.
Comment. I didn't see the thing, but I did see the comment in here.
So this guy, and I can't put it on the screen, but this guy.
I'll try to. Wiggins and Higgins. It was way up here.
This guy, let's see. I can tell you exactly what he said. I can pull it right up here. His name is Clay Higgins, and he said this is what he tweeted. He's a representative. He's a U.S. representative. He tweeted this last night at 8:19 p.m. President Trump said he has been, quote unquote, summoned to appear at the federal courthouse in Miami on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Okay, then he says in the next line, this is a perimeter probe from the oppressors. Period. Hold. Period. Small r, capital POTUS has this. Period. Next line. Buckle up. Period. 1/50K. Know your bridges. Period. Rock steady. Calm. Period. That is all. Now, people are saying that is actually really military parlance. I don't know, but it's certainly code for something. He's certainly
no, it is. It is. It's a military. It's a military. It is. It's military, and it feels. It's a very threatening comment. I saw it too. I read it and reread it, and I didn't understand what I was reading because I didn't understand why it was so threatening. But it is a very threatening comment. It's you know it's like an act of war or civil war or something like that. I mean, it's but yeah, it did look like it was written in code.
Have they learned nothing after all the charges of insurrection?
Or they don't care, right, Colleen? Like either they haven't learned anything or they don't care. This guy is like coming out to the whole world that I'm a real patriot. We're under attack, and I'm just stating it in the public space because I don't care.
Well, and I think he and his, 2 other supporters are going to meet a couple of FBI agents on that bridge.
For real. Yes.
Yeah, I think the FBI will be all over that.
He's going to be eating a lot of institutional food pretty soon.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay. Oh man, that's crazy. All right.
Yeah, it was a very weird statement.
Yeah. Very weird. Oh, come on now. I know I starred some. Boy, we got a lot of people in the chat. This is crazy. Here we go.
So yeah, let's see what other question you have.
I like this. This case lays the foundation for the Jan 6 case. It's a 1-2 punch. Each case will build on the previous ones. I totally agree. I know it's not a question, but it's a hopping off point.
Colleen, you said that like this begets this begets this, and they're all. And I like what you said because I didn't think about it before, but I think you're right. I think they already know the outcome. Like, it's like when they go to get SEAL Team 6 to go attack something, they build an actual replica of the thing they're going to be going through. That's what they did. They built a replica of this entire process. They know where the kids are going. They know where Trump is going. They know how it's going to go down. I think there would be very few surprises, but that would say that justice is presupposed. It would say that this guy's not going to get justice, but you also know that like the DOJ is 99.6%, successful in their cases, like 99.6%. So if they indict you, they're going to get you.
But you heard Jack Smith. I think, did you hear him at his little 2-second press conference?
I didn't hear him. No.
So he said just a few very short things. And one of the things he made sure to really emphasize is that all are presumed innocent until proven guilty. And that the reason that he was seeking a very swift trial was to be fair to I can't remember the name of the person charged, but to Orange Menace, to be fair to him. I mean, he was really good. And, he thanked all the members of his staff and the members of the intelligence world. I don't know how he put it. Community. Yeah. He encompassed everybody. And then specifically he said, and the FBI. He thanked them all for all of their work in this, because he said, it wouldn't be, because for one thing, they had to keep all that Florida stuff secret until the very, very end. I mean, this guy's brilliant. He's just brilliant. He knows what he's doing. And, somebody else in the chat had said, now, will there be some charges brought in DC about the Espionage Act? There may be.
I think so. Yes. I'm hearing yes.
Yeah.
I'm hearing yes.
Separately
from the Jan 6. Yeah. Separately from the Jan 6, right? Yes.
Oh, yeah. But once this one in Florida is heard,
boom.
Yeah. And isn't that interesting that the one in Florida will create the precedents to base the other cases on?
It is very interesting.
They are inventing precedents and law as we go. It's just amazing. I'm telling you, it's a great time to be a lawyer. Very exciting time to be a lawyer. All right. Let me find another one. Okay, guys.
Oh, you guys got a troll? Did you guys take care of the troll?
Thank you. I hope you did. Unless
I'm
I
not
just
sure.
come up on the
I'm not sure
screen.
if he was on the troll was on mine or reread it again. Arlene is saying reread that question again. I don't know if that was. I'm not sure what you're saying, Arlene. I'm
The
sorry.
last comment we had up, I think, what was the one that wasn't actually a question, right?
Okay. I'm not sure, Arlene, what you're referring to. If you want to put more information, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kevin, what do you got to say, Kevin?
Do you ladies feel more indictments coming in the future for selling classified info? Yes, and I think that might be part of what is maybe in Florida, maybe in DC, maybe in both, because that's a big one.
It's a big
my God! It's in both.
They have the proof. If they have to have the proof. They just because they know it's true, they have to have evidence.
The proof was on MSNBC for the last 2 weeks. Yes, they have the proof.
What was the proof? Actual
recording, a recording of Trump. Yes, a recording of Trump saying it.
Right. That's right. Excuse me. It was recorded. Oh yeah, that's definitely.
Okay. That deserves a wand. Woo-hoo, yes. We have evidence and we have
the indictment fairy. We're going to change your name to the indictment fairy.
An indictment for you, an indictment for you.
Exactly. Everybody gets an indictment.
Are you a good president or a bad president? Stick your heels together 3 times and march off to prison. There we go.
Okay. Get a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken and an indictment.
Yes. Oh gosh. So yeah, we definitely feel there's more indictments coming. I do.
Oh, there's so many more in every direction. I mean, it's just, but I can't believe that it's finally coming to like a crescendo. I mean, we're getting just closer and closer to more and more and more. And I think you guys were talking about August, September, October, something like that, something in the time frame. Yes. And I mean, it's just snowballing. You know, I can't wait till they get into the January 6th thing. And then along with him calling the governor of Georgia to say, yeah, I need 11,600, 800, whatever the hell it was, votes. I mean, that was so incriminating. And why it's taking so long, I'm not quite sure. But, there is a triage. There is all these attorneys and state officials communicating informally about how they're going to do all this stuff. And I think Jack Smith is the leader. That's kind of why I'm surprised that he's come into this so fast, so right now with this document thing. I thought we'd start hearing from Georgia more.
I have a theory. My theory is that when Merrick Garland went to Europe about 6 months before he hired Jack Smith, or maybe it was only 4 months, I think he already talked to Jack Smith then.
Yes, I think so too.
I think Jack Smith was getting his info, his homework ahead of time. And once he broke his leg and had to lay up in the hospital, I think all his reading was about Trump.
I agree.
I think it was all there.
I agree.
There was something else I wanted to say about him, but I can't remember. So go ahead. Sorry. I hope I didn't cut you off.
No, okay. It's good. It's good.
Okay. All right. So Nadine V wants to know, do we see any violence in Florida at the trial? Well, we don't know if there's going to be a trial, actually, because of all you heard us. You might not have heard us, but we were talking about all the reasons why there might not be a trial. But
I think there is going to be. I just think there's going to be a trial.
How about next week, next Tuesday? Could there be some protesting and
at the arraignment?
Yes.
Well, if E. Jean Carroll's case is anything to go by, then it might be a slightly larger turnout because it's Florida, not New York. But if you recall, he was predicting that there would be these huge protests, and there was like 4 people in New York, literally 4 people. But there were also about, I don't know if there was 100 people, but there was maybe about 25 to 50 people who were standing along the road holding up signs that said, New York hates Trump. Go home. Every time he showed up, he had to drive through these streets, and they were there every time saying New York hates Trump. It was pretty
gauntlet, a gauntlet of
He,
people.
he's definitely such a galvanizing character. I mean, let's see. Do we see any violence in Florida?
But if they do make it to trial, let's just see what happens next week. But I think yes, he's still got followers. He's still got people that are supporting him. He's still high up in the polls, but that is such a ridiculous thing to say. It's only because he put his bid in early, way early. Now all these other people are starting to say, no, they want to be president too. But yes, I do think that he has a bunch of followers that will make a big deal about this. But they just, the thing with paying off, or the thing that happened in New York, the indictment in New York is just worlds away from this indictment that's going on in Florida. It's totally different things. It's just another thing to add to Trump's list of criminal conduct. So yeah, there very well could be some violence in Florida because they're not getting it.
Well, is Higgins and Biggins going to go find a bridge in Florida to protest on? Because he might be violent.
What I think, guys, honestly, I'm sorry to say this, but I feel like the violent people are really the fascist. They're the ones, the average Trumper is just not violent. They may be jerks, they may be crazy. I just don't see them being that violent, but these people that are armed and have an ideology that they want to espouse, that they want to push on other people. So I feel like you could see more violence against cities that are minority cities. Like I've always seen Atlanta having a lot more pressure from this type of violence. So if you think about it like that, Jack Smith maybe does 3 indictments against Trump. By that time, think about it, 3 good hits. Fani Willis comes in. By that time, those people are really going to be mad. They're really going to be upset because by that time, I'm pretty sure that some of these Congress people are going to have gotten indictments, and it's going to look like Republicans are being attacked. As long as they're just attacking Trump, that's one thing. But when they start indicting some of these Republican, Congress people, right? Then it's going to look like you're going after all of us and it's not fair and it's a war and all that stuff. Then you have Fani coming in and putting the kibosh on all of them. That's why I think Atlanta's ground zero.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I threw some cards on just, is there going to be violent protests in Florida surrounding this case? And I got no. I don't think so. And it's going to contribute to the Orange Menace feeling very dejected and depressed because he was hoping his people were going to stand up for him. Yeah. And they're not. Yeah. They're not.
Yeah. And, like Florida's Trumpers, what are they going to do? Fight each other? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They want to go to a Democratic city and mix it up. That's what they were.
Exactly. Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad. And he doesn't have anything to fight against because he would have wanted it in Florida anyway. So what's he going to do?
At this point, you've got all these different people running for Republicans, running for president, and they're going to totally use this thing. They're going to say, do you want Trump, who's a criminal, or do you want me, who's going to do something for you? So
don't forget, he's got dirt on all of those Republicans. They're not. Chris Christie's the only one who's going to talk bad about Trump until they know
he did,
he's
and
out.
I loved every minute of it.
I did too, but none of the other ones are going to because he's got dirt on all of them, and they're all afraid to piss off the base.
Well, Pence kind of, for Pence anyway, he was a little bit, he said, look, I stood with America. I mean, he said it. I mean, he's at least saying something. Pence, there was another one, right? There was Pence, Christie.
Well, DeSantis. What is DeSantis going to do?
And DeSantis is saying some things about Trump. But
DeSantis also said he'd pardon Trump if he was president.
That's true. DeSantis is doing that waffle thing that people do when they get threatened by Trump. All of them did it. Like McConnell, Lindsey Graham, all of them said Trump is a terrible man. Then the next day they're like, Trump is a good man. It's like, what happened to you, man?
And what do Pence and Chris Christie have in common with Trump? What do they have in common? they were both almost killed by Donald Trump. So if they didn't say something about him, I'd be like, dude, what? Why are you even standing up? How crazy are you?
But what I'm saying, though, is that for these other candidates, it's actually now that it's gone this far, and obviously Trump's in big trouble. They're going to use that to their advantage, even though, I mean, they're Chris Christie, he sees the writing on the wall. All of these people look a lot better than Trump right now. And so that, they still have this problem of trying to divorce themselves from Trump. And they still got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's just wacko. And, I think the rest of the country is looking at this like they're going to start looking at the other candidates much more closely than to Trump. And so Trump is going to, even if he makes it into the whole thing of, doing the debates and trying to be the candidate and stuff, he's not going to get there. So in the meantime, he might, who knows, you guys keep saying he's going to be like locked up in the funny farm of some kind. And
we'll remind you, don't worry. I would bet my house on that. He's either going to die or he's going to be in the funny farm room. And I think the United States DOJ is probably like, we really would prefer option number one, please. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be a lot easier for us if we could just have a funeral,
Yeah. I keep losing my thought on this, but I wanted to say something.
Yeah, that's right.
The other Republicans. I think that they will start to do what Nikki Haley has done, where she's very eloquent. I mean, in general, I don't think she's very eloquent, but the way that she maneuvers her speech around issues having to do with Trump, she does separate herself, and she does criticize him, but she says it in such a way that if he listened to it, he wouldn't understand that he was
tap
being
dances.
criticized.
It's like, I don't know how she does
kind of double talk, kind of. Yeah. But I think they'll all start doing that because, they want to, but also in the primaries, it's traditional that they don't bash as hard as they can on one another, because if they did not win the primary, they want to be up for VP.
A VP. Yeah. Thank you, Kevin. For entertainment purposes only. I feel like all these people are going to be out of the running by the time we get to on the other side in the beginning of 24. I don't see DeSantis running. I don't see Pence running. I don't see Chris Christie running. I don't see Donald Trump running. I think everybody that we're seeing running right now or thinking about running isn't going to be running. I think there's going to be mayhem with the Republican Party in early 2024. They're going to be decimated. They're going to be freaked out. Many of their Congress people are going to be indicted. Their president is going to be I think he's going to get through all his court cases, or enough of them, by May. That's it. He's not going to be still having court cases in June, July, August of next year. This is going to be, Jack Smith said he wants a speedy trial. They're going to try to rush him through this trial ASAP. Yeah. So you have all that blowing up in the Republican Party. And then you have, who do we have? Liz Cheney filing her claws over on the sidelines. She will walk right in and amongst the rubble and the smoke and claim it,
The old angel of death.
She's a formidable opponent.
Yeah, she is. She's the angel of death, man. I mean, she's a Cheney.
She could cause us trouble.
She could.
Because people think she's reasonable because she was on the Jan 6 and she's really a patriot. She voted with Trump over 90-something% of the time. She's a mini Trump. She just wants all the money that the corporations to get to be United States corporations instead of Russian oligarchs. That's the only difference between her and Trump.
Yeah, she's awful. She's awful. And I think you're right. I think it's going to be Liz Cheney against some dog catcher from Omaha, because there's not going to be anybody left.
Right. It's going to be right. That's such a good way to put it, because it'll be a nobody. They won't be any kind of threat to her. But I see that, you guys tell me, but I see in 24, I see Democrats winning the presidency.
Oh, yeah.
And I see us winning the Senate,
the House, the Senate.
And the House.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
But the Republican Party itself, and this is what I've been always saying, is that they're just coming apart at the seams. There's nothing there to hold them together anymore. And after they went through this thing about the debt ceiling and changing all that, and everybody getting mad at Kevin because he didn't do what they thought he should do and stuff. And I'm thinking, at least Kevin and the president got together and did a little bit of a compromise and got this thing through, because it would have been such a huge disaster if they hadn't. But, the Republicans are so mad at Kevin. I'm sure they want to get rid of him. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene's her mind is just so weird. She just explodes into this weird stuff that she thinks is going on. And so, the Republican Party is they're in really, really bad shape. And Mitch McConnell knows this. And I don't think he knows exactly at this point how to bring it back together, because the reason it's always been shaky, but the reason it got so bad is because 4 years of Trump. And nobody dares in the Republican Party dares say that. They can't say that. Right. So the Republicans are just going to be scrambling. And okay, let's see if it came down between Biden and Cheney. We're all thinking that Democrats are going to win. That means Biden, would he easily win over Cheney, or would it be a fight?
Let's read on that. That's a good question.
That's a good question. That's all I know is my spirit guides tell me she's a formidable opponent. That's all they have warned me about her. And I've done video after video where I've told people, don't be taken in, because somebody in the chat said, if she changed her stance on abortion and something else, she could really be a problem for us. And that's what I saw her doing. I saw her remaking her image and coming just to the right of center, not center, but just to the right of center, and not believing any of it, right? I mean, that this is not a real thing, but this is her whitewashing her persona. But I still don't think she's going to win over Trump, over Biden, because Biden, by next year, all this infrastructure stuff. I mean, Biden has done a hell of a job as a president, and the Democrats have done a hell of a job. And I think that people are going to start noticing that. And I think his numbers are going to go up.
I think people already notice it. I think the polls are, they're not real. They're not real polls.
No, that's true.
That's true.
So don't anybody here watching this, don't buy into the polls, because that's not the truth. You know what the truth is. How many more jobs do we have? How many more people are being employed? They're able to put a roof over their head. They're able to get food, even though we're in this huge inflationary period that I'm just waiting for that to come down. I'm waiting for the prices to come down. But I mean, we wouldn't even be in this position if Biden hadn't done what he had done with COVID.
Oh, yeah.
And when you think about the Republicans and how they just want to take all this stuff away and make it look like Biden has just been carelessly spending money. No.
Yeah, they just lie.
He's done everything to keep it together, to make sure that we have jobs, to make sure that, that the economy stays together. Mm-hmm. So I'll get off my soapbox. Colleen, I see that you've got something on your mind.
Well, I threw some cards, and they weren't glorious cards, but I do see that there's a triumph there. It's not going to be a slam dunk. It is going to be kind of an ugly election, but I think it could spell some, in the loss, I think that Liz Cheney will either take down a bunch of other people and cause them to ruin their careers, or her career comes to an end. That it's just disastrous for her. but it's hard. The election itself is going to be a lot of work, a lot. I mean, I can see Kamala and Joe just acting like, oh God, how could it be this
headache
hard?
after headache? Yeah.
It's so hard. It's a hard election. So I'm guessing that during that run up to the election, there are going to be issues going on for our country that are really going to be so important for the president and the vice president, that running an election is going to be like, are you kidding me? During this,
we can't do it. Yeah, right.
We're just going to be, they're just going to be like this the whole time, but I do see that they come out on top, and it's real bad for Cheney. I think she pulls a lot of dirty tricks. I think she takes her dad's advice. Now, is her dad, is he like not long for this world? Cheney? He's pretty old.
I can go there, but I don't. I have to be careful. They get mad at me sometimes when I ask if people are going to die. Well, I asked if Trump was going to die every day for like an entire 16 months, and they were like, "What? It's a problem, Susan. You have a problem. We need to talk to you about your problem." I'm like, just tell me.
Well, the last time we saw Cheney in the Congress, it was some kind of a ceremony. Was it the end of the Jan 6th committee or something?
Yeah, he looked terrible.
You could see that his color was like, why are you walking around like?
Well, he has heart issues, doesn't he? Have like a pacemaker kind of a thing?
Oh, he must. By the color of his skin, it looks like.
Look at McConnell. These people never die. Something else is keeping them alive. Clearly.
Well, I think that Connell sips antifreeze while he's sitting in the Congress. And I think I had a neighbor who did this, and he lived to be 90. So,
antifreeze?
I'm kidding.
Oh my God. You got to be careful. Trump might be watching this, and they'll add that to their ivermectin, regimen.
Please don't drink antifreeze. No, but they, either that or just a lot of bourbon, and he just is, pickled,
Yeah,
but it's not a good, and they bring up so many things that are going to be costly financially for the country in this during this election thing. It's just nasty. But I think you're right. I think we have to wait for the Republican Party to kind of blow up, and then when it does, so she's going to wait. Now, isn't there a deadline? Are they going to make an exception to allow her to throw her hat in, because she has to wait for all of these other candidates to fall away, because the primary is next year in June. The primary is a year away.
Is it May or June? I don't know.
I think it's different in different states. No? I don't know. I don't know about this. I'm sorry. Can someone please tell us in the chat?
Well, I would just say Cheney, and I agree with you. I kind of saw the same thing. Like, I don't really see her being president, but I do. But she does threaten us, because Democrats or moderates or independents, I don't know who y'all are, but y'all start thinking that she's some kind of patriot. And I'm sorry, she didn't do anything more than anybody should have done. She did what an American would do. She doesn't get special treatment for doing what an American should do. But anyway, I don't really see her winning the presidency, but I do think that, like you're seeing, whatever that messiness is, part of it is she's just lighting fires under all the Republicans. And she could do the same thing to some Democrats. She could just be creating like mayhem.
That could be what I'm seeing.
But no fingerprints. Like I keep seeing like Cheney's don't leave fingerprints,
Nope. She learned at the feet of the master. She knows how to do that.
Feet of the master.
She knows how to do that better than anybody. And if she loses this time, don't be surprised if she comes back 8 years later and runs again.
Yeah, I mean,
she's going to skip a cycle and then she'll come again, because she's got to reinvent herself and do some other political things. And the astrology then might be good for her. Who knows?
Exactly.
The Republican Party is self-imploding as we speak.
That's true.
That's been going on for a while, and it doesn't end right away, and it doesn't end with the presidential election. I mean, the Republicans have got to get it together, because we need at least a two-party system. I think we need a three-party system, and I kind of see that maybe happening, but we have to. It's important to have two sides to everything, but eventually I see the Republicans doing the right thing, but it's so
Yeah.
far off down the road.
Yeah, I agree.
The implosion of the Republicans, I think, has been happening for quite a while. I see it as a slow motion train wreck.
Yeah.
You just see the cars like bumping into one and twisting over here, and then another one bumps in and then flips over there, and it's been going on for a good 18 months, and it's going to go on for probably another 2 years. It's just going to be this. You're just watching it going, I can't look away. It's like so amazingly bad. I just have to see it.
Well, so in the meantime, we just got to be entertained with Trump's indictments and see exactly what happens there. And
vote Democrat. Yeah, we just have to keep voting Democrat.
I mean, he's just not going to have the influence that he's had in the past.
No,
to the Republicans or anybody else.
Now, ladies, it's almost at the hour and a half mark. So I'm going to look at some of these starred questions.
It's the witching hour.
Question, yeah. And then I know for me and my sister, we just have to go to the bathroom. So that's why we have to get off. So. Yes, I said it. Everybody in the chat. So just hold on to your little hats. That's what's happening when we go off stage. Okay. All right. So let's see.
Oh my God. I just have to answer this question. The Saudis are never going to overtake the USA. What do you mean overtake the USA? I don't understand. The Saudis are not going to overtake anything about the United States. And I'm not a jingoistic, crazy MAGA United States, but it's not going to happen. They're not going to take over us in any way, shape, or form. I just had to answer that. I had a triggered moment.
Okay, now I see a question in here from Indivisible San Francisco, and I'd love to answer it, but I don't want to end on a downer question. So
well, is it going to be a downer? Let's throw it up and see.
Okay.
Let me answer something real quick. Somebody asked if Bob Ferguson will be the next Washington governor. It was from Wiki, and I haven't given it much thought. But I hope not.
Okay.
I think he's a Republican, isn't he? I mean, we like to keep it. I'm just going to miss Inslee. I wish he would stay in there forever. And
I wanted to vote for him for president. I just thought he was wonderful. I thought he was great. Okay.
So
here's what I'm going to put up.
Okay, go ahead. What were you
going to put up? And it's again from Wiki. She has the best questions tonight. Yay!
Yay, Wiki.
It's a fairy wand. Yay, Wiki. Thank you for your wonderful questions. Okay. All right. What about Bannon, Stone, Flynn, Navarro, etc.? Do they all go down for Jan 6? Well, can we just give them the correct one-word answer? Yes.
Yes.
They're all going down.
And Flynn, let's take it one step further. What about Flynn's brother, who's currently a general on the Eastern or the Pacific fleet? I mean, he's a really high level.
Yeah.
And he was on the phone.
Yes.
With Trump during Jan 6. So I know Flynn, this weirdo's going down, and Bannon's going down, Stone is going down, Navarro's going down. What about Flynn's brother, who's actively a general? What do you guys see for that? That's not good. Whenever a psychic does that, it's not a good. And it doesn't mean she has to pee.
No, not yet. Although, I will eventually. It's kind of inevitable. Flynn's brother.
Flynn was a 4-star, but his brother is a general. He just got booted. He made general. I don't know what star he is, but he got made general.
Interesting.
Well, hasn't there been something in the news about Bannon just recently? I mean, he's got some things to answer for. Flynn, I just don't know. I don't know what. I haven't. I'm getting nothing.
Yeah, I got really weird cards when I pulled them up, and I'm still getting weird cards.
I think he might retire.
Yeah, I think
they might give him an out. They might let him retire, and that would be bad. That would be bad.
Yeah, because he's got a lot of secrets too, and
he reminds me of that guy from Blackwater. The guy that runs Blackwater, that's who this guy, his energy reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Like he would become a mercenary. That's what it feels like.
I mean, I know when Flynn first got pardoned, people were saying, some psychics even were saying, well, maybe they'll pull him back into the military and try him in a military tribunal because he was already retired and getting a pension. And he's still, yes, ladies and gentlemen, he's still collecting that pension today, 6 years later, still doing it.
There's two brothers, though. There's two general brothers, just so that we're clear. One is serving actively, and this one is retired.
Okay, so just like Mike, he's retired. Okay, I do think there's some pain that's going to come to them for somehow.
Yeah, Eric Prince. Yeah, I do too.
But I just don't. I can't quite wrap my head around how the mechanics of that happen. But I do see that there's some pain coming there, and they're going to think that everything's fine.
Happy about that.
They're thinking that they just skated and nothing's going to happen, but something's going to happen to them. I don't know exactly what, but it's going to happen. But for Bannon, Stone, the regular Flynn, Navarro, they're all going down. That's what I got to say.
They're all going to go down again. I don't care. Even if they got pardoned. I mean, a blanket pardon, do you think they got like a blanket, like a complete, because I don't feel that that's the case. Oh, never mind. The guides just said they've been criming since the pardon. So the pardon, was from this date back, right? So if they've created crimes from that date forward, so never mind. They still been doing things for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, I didn't put my banner up today. So loud and clear for entertainment purposes only. Well, this was lovely, ladies.
It was fun.
This was a really like firecracker show. It just bang, 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 bangs. Tons of stuff.
They always are.
I just love getting together with Susan because she knows so much. You're so knowledgeable. Plus with all of your guides and, but the political thing, I've been watching your shows and I'm just like, you go, girl, because you got it going on.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I've been loving all the stuff that you're saying, and it's really I feel bad when I watch. I'm like, well, now is that just going to be what I say next time? That's not fair.
I know it's hard to watch other people because you really want to have a clear, clean, like blank slate. But you also know if you don't agree. Like if you watch a psychic and you're like, I'm getting something different. I don't know that I agree with that. So that it works both ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't agree with your interpretations about Cheney, but then I noticed that not today, but another time when we had done this, and the people in the chat were totally agreeing with you, and I thought, what is going on? So I had to look into that further. Wow, I was totally wrong. You're totally right. But I mean, I just was casually watching her I was so happy that somebody was doing the January 6th thing. And I thought,
I know.
I was
We were desperate. We were desperate for Republicans, for somebody to have some kind of ethical something, find a little piece of ethics in there somewhere. I get it. I totally get it. But the funny thing was I didn't care about her one way or another, right? I really didn't. But the guides kept telling me, formidable opponent. That's all they would say. Formidable opponent. Every time I saw her, I heard formidable opponent. So I was like, okay, for the love of God, tell me how to get rid of her. Give me some good something I can use, So,
yeah, she constantly surprised me on the Jan 6 committee because I kept waiting for her to turn into her father.
I know.
Pull out a shotgun, shoot somebody's face off.
I know. I know.
Wow.
That's what's scary. That's exactly what's scary about her is that she could repackage herself and really score up a lot of independents and potentially a lot of Republicans. The Republicans are going to get, what's that word the guides are saying? When you another word for tired, when you're just, it's another word for tired, but anyway, they're going to be over this. You know what I mean? They're just going to be over it. And I think they just want to go have a summer. They want to go out on their boat. They want to go mudding in their truck. They want to go fishing. They want to go to the drag races, whatever. They just want to have a summer. They just want to stop worrying about all this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if they'd pass some really good gun laws, they could go on vacation and not worried about being shot.
Oh God. And for another, I'll just leave this here for another conversation. How about Gavin Newsom announcing that he really wants there to be he wants to introduce a new amendment that is about guns, that is some really strong language about gun ownership. Gavin Newsom is saying he wants to introduce an amendment, a new amendment. When have you ever heard anybody say they want to introduce a new amendment that wasn't some wacko Republican trying to introduce something crazy? Yeah. So pretty interesting stuff.
Very interesting stuff. And he's standing up against DeSantis too.
He is. He really is.
Good stuff. Really good stuff. All right. Well, thank you so much, Susan. Thank you, Cleo. This was a fabulous conversation. Thank you to everybody in the chat. I hope we didn't keep you too long, but wow, this was just a fantastic show. And thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next time. I really appreciate you being here. All the best to everybody. Mwah. And Trump got indicted. Yay!
Best news ever.